Do you know that feeling when you spent years idealizing something, especially when you're a kid because we're kind of dumb or innocent, and then as an adult you realize the truth behind that idealization and that everything reeked of dead rat and greasy fast food? Well, that's Disneyland, both literally and metaphorically. The same thing happens with big video game companies. From the outside, they look like a dream. Offices with colorful beanbags, fridges stocked with free Monster Energies, meetings where someone's wearing an Evangelion t-shirt. You grew up playing that company's games, and they were a huge part of your life. But once you get there, you realize it was all a facade, a corporate toxic environment where creativity is limited to Slack meetings, and the people making the decisions haven't touched a game controller since the year 2000. And even though this was always your dream job, and you grew up admiring that company's games, you ended up leaving because it was nothing more than a fantasy you built in your head. Let's call this the Disneyland effect, a concept I just made up because science can't keep up with me. I'll use it to define that broken magic, the cardboard facade that, when you scratch a little, reveals the reality underneath. A mouse with more copyright patterns than bones in its body. But Beatty, why call it the Disneyland effect? Excellent question, Beatty. First, because I hate Disney, and second, because from the outside you see this spectacular fantasy of lights, colors, mice, and mentally challenged dogs. But inside it's a well-oiled machine designed to squeeze every last cent out of you. Bottles of still water for $14, and kids getting eaten by alligators. Of course, when you're on the outside, everything looks wonderful. You see the trailer for the latest AAA game and you're like, holy shit, this looks awesome! But what you don't see are the 300 emails that were sent just to decide the exact shade of blue for the sky in the trailer. You enter the industry thinking you'll design incredible worlds and write stories that will make streamers cry. But by the third Monday of meetings, you're just designing trees, not even placing them. There's a tree placement team for that. You just make trees. And each tree will go through art review, animation review, gameplay review, accessibility review, though honestly the trees were probably outsourced to a company in India that won't even appear in the game credits. This video starts with Expedition 33. Why? Because when a team comes out of nowhere and makes a JRPG with stunning art direction, solid mechanics, an interesting story, and a soundtrack, my god, that soundtrack, and it turns out great, we all start looking at it like it's Jesus Christ reincarnated in cell shading. It's so good that the game is French. Not just French, it is very French. Look at this massive baguette the characters are carrying. And still, I assure you, it's one of the best things I played this year, alongside Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Both are clear contenders for my Game of the Years. That's how damn good it is! And then someone inevitably asks, hey, where the fuck did these guys come from? And you find out the studio was founded by ex-Ubisoft workers, and not just any workers. People who'd been in the trenches for years and left because they were fucking done with it all. And then you start asking uncomfortable questions like, why didn't Expedition 33 come out of Ubisoft? Why does it seem like talent has to escape the corporate environment to create something that is different? Why does it feel like many developers' dream is to escape where they work? Why did no one at Ubisoft notice that their logo looks like a literal shit when seen from above? Today I wanted to talk about this, about people with ideas, talent, and passion trapped in the talent grinders that are so many of these mega corporations. And that's why keeping focus is so important. When we criticize companies like Ubisoft, and no, this video isn't specifically about Ubisoft, though it never hurts to throw a jab or two, the criticism isn't towards the human talent inside, because there's plenty of that, and you'll see it in this video, but towards the corporate model, towards the Excel guy, the one who only answers to metrics, that person, without naming names, who runs the company thinking only about profits, fiscal quarters, and pleasing investors. That person, again, no pointing fingers, who couldn't care less about retaining talent, because the goal isn't to create memorable things or games you remember 15 years from now, what we call making games with a soul. No, the goal is to make money. And in the middle of all this mess, along comes Expedition 33. And when you try it, you get emotional. Like when you see a cat playing the piano on TikTok, you're like, damn, I wish I could adopt it, give it a Grammy, make it president, or make it Trump's wig. Just think about it. Expedition 33 is a game made with love. You know when someone says, this game has a soul? Nobody knows what the hell that even means, not even can't figure it out, so it's not like we're going to, but at the same time, when someone says it, we'll just get it. It's a brave game, the kind that feels like it was made by someone with a purpose, someone who wanted to say something, not just sell you a commercially optimized product for a Western male audience aged 15 to 35 with potential to sell in the Chinese market, a game where exploration, for a good chunk of it, rewards you with cosmetics. Yes, cosmetics! Wait a minute, Beatty, do they not sell them separately as DLCs? You can get the fucking baguette completely for free free! Isn't that beautiful? Honestly, hearing myself say that out loud, the bar in the video game industry is insanely low. In fact, that is literally what the director said, that he was craving turn-based JRPGs and thought, well, if I want to play one, maybe others do too. He broke free from the corporate dogma of, if you don't have an established IP, don't touch anything, don't think, don't feel, don't innovate. What these people pulled off is a statistical miracle. A JRPG that looks like it came from a Japanese mega corporation with 40 years of experience, but no, it is French, and on top of that, it's good. Guillaume Broach, the director himself, said, projects like this, with original IPs, stories, and fully original characters, are really hard to get greenlit in a big company. There are a lot of approval steps. You already have to have proven yourself and be high up in the hierarchy to even get the chance to pitch something like this. A project like this would have taken 25 years to make at Ubisoft. Well, unless you're a sexual predator, then apparently there aren't that many approval steps at Ubisoft. And the important thing isn't that they've managed to pull it off, but they had to do it outside. That people with talent and years of experience felt they had no other option but to leave in order to create something different. Because inside, there's no room left. Just formulas and roadmaps and PowerPoints projected 10 years in the future. And I'm not even exaggerating. Ubisoft has already 9 Assassin's Creed games planned out for the next 12 years. You don't even know what you're having for dinner tomorrow, and they already know what you'll be playing in 2038. And it's not just Ubisoft. Virus is everywhere. You see it in Activision, in EA, and in the recent public execution of Codemasters. What I'm trying to say is that Expedition 33 isn't some isolated case. It's not just a cute little underdog story, a David versus Goliath. It's a symptom. Ubisoft, like so many other big companies, has become a talent shredder, an incubator of projects that will never happen. Because yeah, people talk a lot about crunch, about job insecurity, about mistreatment, but sometimes they don't even need to exploit you. It's enough to ignore you. That's why there are so many ex-Ubisoft devs starting their own studios. Honestly, man, it's starting to feel like a rite of passage to be able to make games. You join Ubisoft, you make a Far Cry, and then you leave to start a studio with 3 friends. Philip Morin, David Shiranoff, and Hugo Dallaire, don't know if I pronounced those right, worked on Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, Splinter Cell, and Assassin's Creed. They left and founded Red Barrels, creators of Outlast, one of the horror games reference of last decade. And you know why they did it? Because in 2008, they tried to convince Ubisoft to let them make a horror game. And Ubisoft said, there isn't a big enough market for that genre. Well, if you say so, Ubisoft. We decided that if we were going to make Outlast with a small team and budget, we wouldn't have to worry about making the same profits as Assassin's Creed to be sustainable. Pastures Desolates, the father of Assassin's Creed, well, the other father, the one who wasn't accused of anything, left in search of greater creative independence to found Panache Digital Games. Big productions have become huge machines. I wanted to get my hands dirty again and create something new. Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey might not have blown up on Twitch, but it was his game, and that alone means a lot. And then there's Raphael Van Lierop, who left Ubisoft and moved literally to the woods with his family to found Hinterland Studio. He made The Long Dark, an amazing snow survival game, and Tribute Games, founded by developers of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, who wanted to keep making 2D pixel art retro-flavored games. Ubisoft obviously didn't see any future in that, so they left and ended up releasing TMNT Shredder's Revenge. I swear I could make an entire video just about studios founded by ex-Ubi people. A few more are Typhoon Studios, Journey to the Savage Planet, DigixArt, founded by the creative director of Valiant Hearts, The Game Bakers, the team behind Fury, Slow Clap, creators of Sifu and now the Football Sifu Rematch, Magic Design Studios, Have a Nice Death, Beans, started by the creative director of Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, Spearhead Games, Reflector Entertainment, Wild Sheep Studio, Nesting Games, Haven Studio. The first thing that comes to mind is, fuck! There's a massive employee turnover at Ubisoft, right? And also, it's like every time someone finishes a project at Ubisoft, they legally earn the right to start their own studio. It's the La Masia of modern video games, man. But like I said, it is not exclusive to them. Infinity Ward, creators of Call of Duty Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2, was born from people pissed off at Electronic Arts. Then they got pissed at Activision and founded Respawn Entertainment, creators of Titanfall. And they ended up being bought by EA again. It is a toxic reincarnation cycle. Have you seen Evangelion? Infinity Ward is the closest thing to that. Platinum Games, creators of Nier Automata, born from the ashes of Clover Studios, shut down by Capcom. Playtonic Games, creators of Yooka-Laylee, formed by ex-Rare devs. Kojima Productions, well, Konami got mad at Kojima and the rest is history. I don't understand how anyone could get mad at that sweet little face. Second Dinner, ex-Blizzard, creators of Marvel Snap. Embark Studios, ex-Electronic Arts, now behind the finals and are creators. Seriously, I could go on for hours. The conclusion is clear. Big companies are so focused on retaining IPs that they've forgotten to retain the people who created them. In their attempt to build brands, they forgot to preserve brains. And of course, when their new games excite no one, they sit in a meeting, scratch scratching their heads and exclaim, "What happened? We had a roadmap!" Which brings us back naturally to Expedition 33, founded by 3 people. 2 of them were ex-Ubisoft. Later on, 2 more senior Ubisoft would join the team. Damn, you organize a Ubisoft alumni meetup, you make Half-Life 3 in a weekend. The most remarkable thing, of the 30 people who worked on the project, 90% of the team were juniors. People with no prior experience in video games. The director himself said so. I checked. Out of the entire team, I only found 10 people with another game to their name. The rest, total rookies. Their first boss fight in life was with 30 hands. Although, to be fair, the legend has been a bit exaggerated in recent days. Like it's here to save the industry, or it's reviving the JRPG genre. Hello? Hi? Persona, Metaphor, Yakuza, Pokemon! And the whole small studio makes huge game narrative? Yes, but with caveats. Because they outsource more than a city hall during a political campaign. Animation, models, localization, motion capture, over 400 people worked on this. That doesn't take away from its merit, but let's not pretend it was 4 friends in a garage with a Raspberry Pi. Then there's the "they made this with barely any money" claim. No. Making video games is expensive. Very expensive. Even with very conservative math, 30 people, 5 years, average salary, 36,000 euro a year, which is super low for France, especially for seniors who can easily hit 6 figures. That alone is over 5 million euro. And that's not counting outsourcing, licenses, office space, and all that little things that inflate the budget. And then there are people discrediting it because one of the founders, the director, Guillaume Broch, turns out his dad is on Wikipedia. So apparently that means he's rich, and somehow that takes away from the value of making a game like this. Honestly, the internet, and especially social media, becomes unbearable whenever something like this goes viral. But you don't need to overhype it. What they've done is already incredible. It's an amazing game. A Game of the Year contender, whose writer they found on Reddit and composer on SoundCloud. But what if the problem isn't that big studios can't make good games? What if it's that they can't make memorable ones anymore? Because there's a huge difference between "this is good" and "this changed me." The first is like a gas station sandwich. The second is the lentils your grandma used to make, full of love, cholesterol, and 2 world wars. The game you'll remember 10 years from now, the one that inspired you to work in this industry, is not the one that was fine. It's the one that leaves you staring at the shower wall with Sigur Rós playing in the background. God, Arthur Morgan just wanted redemption. That's why the game is called Redemption, for fuck's sake. Hogwarts Legacy, Avatar, they've got it all. Massive budgets, billion-dollar IPs, jaw-dropping graphics, lore for days. But to be honest, those of you who played them, how long did it take you to forget them? And it's not because technology killed the magic. I don't think so. It's because the design of many of these games has turned into a fucking spreadsheet. I call it a game designed by Excel. Every mechanic has to have ROI. Caption, ROI, or return on investment, is a way to measure how much money you made or lost compared to what you've spent. It tells you whether something was worth it financially. This type of mission is completed by 82% of players according to the metrics. Therefore, it works. But what about the story, the pacing, the coherence, the surprise? Answer me this. How many times have you played a mission and thought, "Who is the psychopath who thought this was fun?" What kind of asshole said, "Yes, let's add the most mind-numbingly boring mission we've ever made"? If no one enjoys it, why spend resources on it? Because a lot of companies don't make video games anymore. They make IPs, transmedia assets. Because an IP isn't a story anymore. It's a franchise opportunity. It's a catalog of spin-offs, expanded universes, skin packs, sequels, games as a service, movie series, crossover collabs. Just think about it. The logic behind planning 9 future Assassin's Creed titles isn't the logic of an artist. It's the logic of a fund manager, someone who talks about diversification, operational risk, and how far we can milk fans before they finally tell us to fuck off. In that logic, everything is planned 5 years in advance. Not because there's a vision behind it, but because it's easier to sell a roadmap with 8 projected releases to investors than to pitch a single soulful game. And smaller games, the one that don't play by those investor circus rules, are finding it harder and harder to survive. Not because they suck, but because they don't scale. Meanwhile, at the big studios, you can ship one of the most original games of the year and still get shut down. Tango Gameworks, creators of Hi-Fi Rush, a game that actually felt like someone remembered what fun was, praised by critics, loved by players, my little bro thought it was awesome, gone. It fucking slapped, man! Or take Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown from Ubisoft, one of the best Metrovanias in years. Doesn't matter how brilliant it is, if it doesn't hit this quarter's numbers, if it can't be spun into spin-offs, Netflix series, and a fucking Funko Pop line straight into the trash. That is why more and more brave people in this industry are going solo, even knowing they might lose everything. Because the indie path isn't an aesthetic choice anymore, it's a survival tactic. Yet, indie isn't paradise. Not every ex-Ubisoft dev moves to Canada and finds Sebastian Bach reincarnated on SoundCloud. For every Expedition 33, there are 10 Expedition 404. Christ, what a terrible nerd joke I just made. In the end, it's just like the cinema. Remember when films were all risk, madness, and director smoking in the editing room? Now we got 17 Marvel movies a year. The video game industry is the same, and it has done the same. It traded discovery for attention. It traded art for risk management. And then they are surprised the audience is fed up. And in this world of Excel sheets, roadmaps, and quarterly reports, a game like Expedition 33 isn't just cool. It's a fucking miracle. Because it wasn't made with ROI in mind. It's not built on some recycled license. It comes from burnt out devs who chose to keep creating even when the whole system was against them. And still people find ways to dismiss it. The director's dad has money, they outsource 400 people, it's not that indie, yeah. So what? You know what's harder than making a good game? Making one surrounded by cynicism, with no budget, with a team of juniors, and still somehow making a goddamn Game of the Year contender. So if you like JRPGs or if the story behind this game has caught your eye, play it. First, because it's a banger. And second, because I am pretty sure that Ives Kinyamo is probably dying inside seeing this game succeeded. So it's a 2-for-1, right? You enjoy a great game and you metaphorically stick a finger up that guy's ass.